Good evening and welcome to the October 10th, 2023 Johnson City Regional Planning Commission meeting. If you're here to speak during the public comment or public hearing set portion of our agenda, please wait until I have opened the public comment or public hearing. Once that has been opened, one person at a time may come up and speak at the podium after I've recognized them. And please give us your name and address from the podium at the microphone. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes to speak, and we ask that you please speak directly to the commission, not to the audience and not to staff. I'll call the meeting to order now at 2 minutes after 6. Commissioner Bailey, would you please lead us in an invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance?
Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time together. We thank you for allowing us to live in this town and to take what we know is a good place and make it even better. Be with each one of us. May we be patient and kind. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Now for tonight's agenda. Has anyone on the commission asked for any changes? I have one change that I need to put before the commission. Anyone else?
No.
All right, the change I need to ask is the Town Acres rezoning issue has been pulled. We've had a request that be pulled from the agenda by the developer, and that notice did not get adjusted on the agenda with 48 hours as required. So I'm going to ask a motion that we remove that from the agenda.
I move.
All right,
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any questions from the commission? Nicole, let's do a voice vote.
Sure.
All in favor of removing that from the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now we'll come up to the minutes of the meeting from September 12th. Does anyone have any questions or adjustments or changes to those minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of the minutes.
All right.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second to approve the minutes from September 12th meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Now, we're going to move to the point in our agenda where we have public comment, and I'm going to make an exception today. Since we changed the agenda, I think there may be people in the audience here to have public comment on the Town Acres, but since we didn't give full notice, I don't want to disrespect you if you've come down here for that. So we'll go through those comments first. You'll have 3 minutes. If you'll come to the podium and identify yourself with your name and address, then we'll give you 3 minutes to give us your comments. So I'll call first. Jennifer Hansen. Are you here? Okay. Is Blaine Benning, if I said that correctly, Benning? Is that person here? Is Ivy Hansen here? Okay, so if and when that item comes back before us, there will be public hearing again, that you will have an opportunity, and if an item comes up, we'll have a public hearing on that specific item in the future. So I wanted to respect those people that were here if they were here to speak. All right, now let's move to public comments about the rezoning in College Heights. This is public comment. Is Kristen Lazarova here? Could you please come forward? You have 3 minutes for public comment. I'm sorry. If you'll give us your name and address at the microphone, please. And I'll remind you to please keep your comments specific to the issue of the Heights rezoning. Thank you.
Okay, Kristen Lazarova, and my address is 1601 Galen Drive, and obviously I'm here to speak about the College Heights proposal. So is my time beginning now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Oh, it's already started. Okay. Okay, so a rezoning of the properties to R4 would increase crime in our neighborhood. Online tools that provide historical crime data indicate that areas with multi-residential housing near the university have higher crime rates than areas with other types of housing. A cursory internet search reveals various crimes, including attempted murder, burglary, auto theft, drug offenses, underage drinking, assault, and more at some of these multi-residential properties located within the proximity of the university that would be similar in scope to the one proposed. Many families in our area would be impacted in our neighborhood by the proposal that Mr. Beckner has. Rezoning to R4 would significantly augment traffic. While the planning department provided traffic counts for Southwest, Cherokee, and Narrow Lane, the crucial College Heights and Galen Drive were neglected. The proposed entrance to the large multi-residential property lies mere feet from College Heights, a vital route to ETSU parking and for students. College Heights' narrowness impedes the safe passage of two vehicles traveling in opposing directions without near stops or pulling over. Although there haven't been recent accidents, the risk is palpable. Just the other day, I witnessed a young boy whose small dog had gotten off a leash, nearly hit by an oncoming car. This was just 3 days ago due to poor visibility on College Heights. Research suggests, multiple peer-reviewed research studies suggest that increased traffic volume raises the likelihood of pedestrian accidents, particularly in areas with limited visibility like College Heights. The planning department's failure to conduct a traffic study on College Heights and support for rezoning without a thorough investigation is worrisome. In addition, the planning department did not provide a traffic count for Galen Drive. Galen Drive is a neighborhood street and is part of a subdivision. It's located directly across from the proposed entrance to the multi-residential units. Clearly, R4 rezoning jeopardizes home values. There are many people in our neighborhood who have invested their entire savings for their entire lives into their homes, and a change in zoning, if you look at the research, change in zoning as is requested by Mr. Beckner would potentially impact home values, certainly impact the market and the interest that people would have in purchasing homes in that area. The argument that this would provide infill is an issue as well for me, and I think for many, this is a blanket term that seems to be used to just allow for zoning changes. That my question would be this. My question would be, and may I have just one extra moment since I didn't realize it would be? Thank you.
Make it brief, please.
Okay, yes, sir. My question would be this. If we apply the logic connected to infill that was used to support this plan to other properties with larger than average lots, then who among each of you or who among the residents of Johnson City will be next to face such significant zoning changes to their neighborhood, where some of your neighbors may have larger than average lots in the name of infill? Infill is important, but must be done in a way that does not drastically affect the surrounding neighborhood. An R3 zoning is much more appropriate. It also does not seem appropriate to go from R2 to R4 as a correction. I think what would be much more appropriate would be to just move to R3 rather than rewarding someone who has been using the land in a out of the way that the city has intended the land or the property to be used.
Thank you very much.
And zoning is not just for personal needs, it is
Thank
for
you.
the community. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
No, please hold the applause. Is Natalia Suit here? Please come forward, Natalia, and give us your name and address. You have 3 minutes, please. Thank you.
My name is Natalia Sud. I live on 1514 Ashwood Drive. And I would like to make one point against this rezoning plan. The city's Bridge Plan Policy 9, Action Item 3 says that the city will work closely with neighborhood residents to identify attitudes and opinions regarding infill opportunities and choices. Well, this has not happened. In fact, the DSO has not worked with us at all. There has been no survey sent to the residents, and the information about the planned rezoning was sent ahead of time only to the handful of residents whose properties are within 200 feet from the rezoning site, even though all of us will be affected by this proposed development. The fact that a large number of the residents of this neighborhood are here, and they were here on Friday as well, to voice their dissatisfaction with this rezoning plan should tell you that the city has not worked with us in a way that is satisfactory for the residents. Moreover, none of the concerns that we have voiced so far regarding safety, infrastructure, pollution, and so on have been satisfactorily answered by the DSO or the developer. Both have claimed that this kind of information can be gathered after the rezoning decision has been made. In my opinion, and I know many other people, this is like putting the cart before the horse and does not indicate that this rezoning proposal represents an intentionally thoughtful and thoroughly considered plan of city development. So I ask the commissioners to reject this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. No, please do not applaud. Kenny Suit, are you here? Please come forward.
My name is Kenny Suit, and I live at 1514 Ashwood. I would like to talk about the 6 recommendations the Development Services Office has made that are listed on page 10 of the document the DSO has written for the Planning Commission. These 6 recommendations are based upon 4 policies from the city's bridge plan, which has been published online. In my opinion, the Development Services Office is cherry-picking these 4 policies for the bridge plan while ignoring policies of the bridge plan the proposed rezoning and development would violate. For example, the DSO states Bridge Policy 131, which says it is the policy of Johnson City to promote infill development as the most desirable and efficient means of accommodating future growth. Well, okay, but what are infills? On page 14 of the bridge plan, infill sites are defined as vacant, skipped-over parcels of land. Well, if that's how an infill is defined, then I agree. Infills within the city limits should be developed. But the properties on College Heights and Southwest Avenue that are being considered for rezoning and redevelopment are not vacant, skipped-over parcels of land. They already have homes on them. It's true that one of the homes has a large yard, but should that be considered an infill property? I don't think so. Because if large yards are subject to infill rezoning, then the folks in the Ridges, the Gump Addition, Hillrise Park, or any mid-century housing development in Johnson City had better watch out. I would invite the commissioners to visit the properties on College Heights and Southwest Avenue because the bird's eye blueprint of the property the DSO has provided you is misleading. This is not a vacant lot of flat, undeveloped land. It is a hill with houses on it. This is someone's front yard, and it doesn't fit the definition of infill used in the city's bridge plan. So here's my point. This is not an area that needs to be infilled. We don't want these 2 small homes and 1 medium-sized home to be replaced or crowded out by townhomes and duplexes, because these would be unwanted and unattractive changes to the aesthetics of our neighborhoods. On page 40 of the bridge plan, the city says that multifamily uses or condominiums may be allowed as infill provided there are adequate public utilities, road capacity, and the development is compatible in scale and character with the surrounding land uses. Others tonight will talk about how a change in zoning will create problems with road capacity, water runoff, light pollution, and noise pollution in our neighborhoods. But I want to emphasize that the proposed duplexes and townhomes are absolutely not compatible in scale and character with surrounding land uses, which are almost entirely small to medium-sized single-family homes. Please, do not approve this plan to upzone these properties to R4 because these proposed developments will ruin the idyllic character of our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank
And
you,
also, I
Mr.
have a
Sue.
quick question with the 17 seconds I have left. We have some signed petitions. When do we give those to y'all?
You can deposit them down at the end of the
At the end of the
podium.
meeting? Okay.
No, at this time.
Oh, I need to
It's
collect
okay.
some more, but some other people have them. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be happy to take those for you.
Okay. The next person, Dale Moore. Is Dale Moore in the room? Can you come forward to the podium, please? And can we get your name and address for the record, please?
Dale Moore, 1407 College Heights Road, 37604.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Dale Moore, and I have lived on College Heights for 46 years. When I moved here in 1977, the neighborhood consisted of all single-family dwellings, and we were surrounded by 27 acres of beautiful trees. Since then, I have seen major development. The road on College Heights has always been curvy, narrow, and dangerous to both pedestrians and cars. Over the years, there has been a death of a young girl who had a car accident across the street from the house that is proposed to be rezoned from R2 to R3. That dwelling is now a duplex. There were also deaths of my neighbor's dogs, several possums, critters, and other cats, several cats. Luckily, the deer have not been killed so far. Rezoning the properties at 1301 and 1305 College Heights Road from R2 to R3 and R3 to R4 would increase the traffic on these narrow streets by probably 44 or more cars, trucks, and SUVs. I sincerely hope that you will be on the right side of history and not grant this upzone property. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Moore.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lamson, Bert Lamson, is he here?
I'll make this simple, Commissioners. Don't let,
Excuse me, sir, what's your
my name is
address?
Bert Lamson, 1402 College Heights Road. Don't let this developer destroy this beautiful property and this beautiful neighborhood. For once, think about the needs and wishes of your fellow residents and neighbors, okay? Stop thinking about this developer.
Thank you, sir. That concludes our public comment section of the agenda. So now we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. I believe, Ms. Rogers, are you here? I believe our next item is a subdivision plat in the Leonard Subdivision, dividing one lot into two lots. Can you give us a presentation on that, please?
I can. Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
So first, I want to apologize that the property owner and the requester listed in your packet is actually, the property owner is Leonard, the subdivision, and the applicant is the Tennessee Professional Surveying, Inc. Don't know how I did that, but it's wrong in your packet. I apologize for that.
Thank you.
So this is a subdivision, a minor subdivision that would normally be a staff approval, but it is out of the regs, which we'll go through for the 3-to-1 ratio. And also, this is located in Washington County.
So this is advisory, correct?
No, the request is for your commission to approve a variance from a requirement of the subdivision
regs, okay.
regulations.
Thank you.
Right, so if they had met the 3-to-1, we wouldn't be here. They would be a staff level
Okay,
review.
thank you.
Okay, so the site is located, as indicated with a star on this map, in Washington County, and it backs up to Boone Lake. It's in your regional planning area, which is why your sub-regulations apply. And the request is to subdivide this lot from 1 to 2, again, minor subdivision. So lot number 1 would only be 137 feet wide, and lot number 2 would only be 102 feet wide. And if it's less than 170 feet in width is when the 3-to-1 ratio kicks in. And neither of the proposed lots would meet the ratio. And it's a lot of text from the subdivision regulations. But basically, it says that the size, shape, and orientation shall be as the planning commission deems appropriate. And when it's less than 170 feet wide, it has to be that 3-to-1 depth. And then here is where it says that you can grant a variance from that requirement. So the property is not located within city limits. It backs up against Boone Lake. It's not part of any kind of development that would require a street to go through the middle of those lots. And it's similar to the condition for most of the other lots in the area. So for all of those reasons, because that 3-to-1 ratio is intended to preserve lots so that you can have an adequate street network, and no street is ever going to be located through the middle of those lots. So for those reasons, staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Rogers. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll open the floor for public comment. Is anyone here to speak to the question in favor or against this subdivision? Seeing none, I'll close the floor for public comment. All right, conversation amongst the commission about this issue?
You know, you look at that map, and there's a whole lot of lots in that same area that are significantly out of proportion, so these seem to be, within the scheme of things, really pretty reasonable.
Very consistent.
Yes.
Chairman, if I may.
Please.
Make a motion to approve as presented by staff.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any questions or any further discussion? The motion is to approve the subdivision of this lot in variance with the subdivision regulations as it is out of proportion. Would you please call the roll, Nicole?
Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Dutton?
Yes.
Commissioner Rhodey?
Yes.
Commissioner Whitfield?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Oshenbein?
Yes.
Chairman Dagenhart?
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Thank you very much. All right, Ms. Rogers, I believe we have item number 2 up. It's a preliminary plat of 53 acres on Carroll Creek.
Okay, so this is the Glaze Farm subdivision. And as you stated, it is on Carroll Creek, and it is actually part of the recent annexation that was approved earlier this summer. So you would have seen it maybe late spring, the annexation. And this is just to show side by side the exhibit that was provided as part of the annexation and the preliminary plat, and they are essentially the same. They did move the road a little bit so that they would meet that 3-to-1 ratio on those back lots. And that's pretty much the extent of the change from what you've seen. The proposal is 53 lots, and all development would be in compliance with the R2B district. They will also provide the required open space under that newly adopted open space ordinance for single-family residential. They have all of it provided on their plan here, as you can see. And it meets all of the requirements of the subregs, the zoning regs, and it will, when development happens, it will comply with all of the city codes.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rogers. Questions for staff before she steps away too far?
Yeah, Ms. Rogers, will you show exactly where all that walk goes around the property?
It's kind of hard to see on the plan, but you can see this.
Does it start at the entrance there off Carroll Creek?
It does.
Okay, and then goes all the way around?
I'm pretty sure that it does. And then this property back here is owned by the church. There's a church that bought this property from the property owner back here. Let's go to the aerial. Maybe that'll help. You still can't see it. Yeah, so it comes up this way.
Well, basically two sides of the development.
Yeah, I'm going to apologize because
That's all right, I had trouble reading.
it is hard to see. I wonder.
Ms. Rogers, I have the benefit of something that may be a little higher resolution. It does appear to go around the back. It is not adjacent to the rear of lots 1 through 9, but it does wrap around the other lots. Okay.
So it comes around to over here.
Yep. Around
Right.
the cul-de-sac. Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff before we? Thank you, Amber. All right, I'm going to open the floor for public comment. Is anyone here to speak to the question? Is the developer here or anybody else? Please come forward and state your name and address at the podium.
Yes, my name is Matthew Bundy. I live at 190 East Main Street, Abingdon, Virginia. I'm the engineer of record for the development. To answer your question, that walk does go all around the back. It goes around that other pond in that bottom left corner there and continues on around those lots, sort of on the bottom horizontal as well, as far as the green space goes. And if you have other questions.
Any questions for the engineer?
And so
Thank
what
you.
we did, I guess, is a couple other just quick discussions, is the lots going up the side, we matched through the general size of lots in the neighborhood, and then across the top, where it's a magnificent view up there, we went with larger lots, because I think they're going to be pretty prime.
If you could orient me, I have one question, if you don't mind, please. On the, I don't know if you can do, Amber, can you help him with the mouse, please? And show the larger, I was looking for where these points of contact exit. The bottom is, I think, on Carroll Creek. Maybe you can get it adjusted.
This is acting crazy.
And then there's a stub out T right there that's in the bottom corner. Does that terminate to what?
That connects to an existing stub out of the adjacent subdivision.
The
that has
next,
a
the
control
neighboring
strip.
subdivision?
Yeah, so that
Okay.
control strip will have to be removed. And then the other connection is to Carroll Creek. Yeah,
Okay, thank you. That's a helpful clarification.
right there.
Okay, any other questions for him? Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Anyone else to speak to the question, either in favor or against? Seeing none, I'll close the floor. All right, commissioners, it's up to us now.
You know, I went out when we first were annexing the property and walked it and talked to the neighborhood and a lot of people in the surrounding subdivisions. And it was really startling because everyone I spoke to and for this annexation, they were for it. They said, realized it was going to be developed and they still had their really nice sized yards and so they were for it, so.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Any other comments or questions? I'll entertain a motion.
A motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I have a motion to approve and a second of the preliminary plat of the Glaze Farm property, 53 lot on Carroll Creek. Any other discussion? Ms. Lawrence, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Dutton?
Yes.
Commissioner Rhodey?
Yes.
Commissioner Whitfield?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Oshenbein?
Yes.
Chairman Dagenhart?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next item is rezoning 1111 at College Heights. Amber?
You tired of me yet?
No.
Okay. So the petitioner would like to rezone this property located between Narrow Lane and Southwest Avenue on College Heights from the R2, which is this lot down here, my mouse, R2 and R3 districts, to the R4 district to allow construction of duplexes and townhomes and to correct the zoning for that existing duplex. These are a couple of pictures of the site and aerial to get some context. And then that is the site, right, looking towards College Heights from Narrow Lane, and this is the property. And from Southwest Avenue, looking southwest, and there's the property there. So the concept plan, I'm gonna kind of break it into 4 pieces, because there are it's sort of like 4 little projects on this property. So there's the existing house and garage and the existing duplex, and then there are the proposed duplexes and proposed townhomes. So the existing house and garage, it would be a future subdivision plat to create a separate 1 acre lot for that. and there's no physical changes proposed to those structures. And then the existing duplex, it's currently in a state of disrepair, and it lost its non-conforming status, so it is a building that has 2 residences in it, but one of them hasn't been livable for some number of years, and Mr. Beckner wants to do repairs to that building so that it can be utilized as a duplex again. But he can't get permits to do the work because it's out of conformance with the zoning district. And the proposed duplex area, the proposal is for 3 duplex lots, again, part of a future subdivision to create 3 individual lots for that. And each duplex would be developed with turnaround driveways so that they could pull out front onto narrow lane. And the plan shows a stormwater management area for the lots. And then all of the setbacks and everything would be maintained. And this side would he's also going to dedicate 5 feet of right-of-way, so that there would be, I think we have 30 feet of right-of-way, so there'd be 35 feet of right-of-way along that frontage. And then the proposed townhome area, up to 16 townhomes. The 7 on the east side would all have drive-under garages, and the ones on the west side would be surface parking. And the concept plan shows all of the requirements, the taper and turn in, a sidewalk along the frontage, the stormwater management, the fire turnaround, all of the things that you have to show on a concept plan are provided here. The comprehensive future land use map shows the site as being proposed for residential, and as we know, the plan doesn't designate densities, so we have to make inferences from other things in order to determine what an appropriate density is for a property. And here's sort of an overview map, and State of Franklin is like up here off the map. But yeah, there's single-family residential and medium density sort of multifamily stuff over here, and a huge commercial area on State of Franklin, and then ETSU. And Southwest Avenue is a collector street. So we have a number of policies in our bridge plan and our strategic plan that encourage infill developments, different kinds of housing located in convenient locations, affordable housing, greater choices in types of housing. All of these are our policies. We had a neighborhood meeting last Friday night, and 25 citizens signed in on the sign-up sheet. I didn't count heads, but that's how many people signed in. And they made comments regarding like pollution near the observatory, construction as it relates to noise, vibration, timing and equipment, traffic, specifically with regards to speeding and the narrow streets. There was a few statements about needing speed bumps and a traffic signal, and there were concerns about removing some of the vegetation at the site, as well as stormwater runoff implications from the development. And staff's recommendation is for approval because it is an infill development. It provides a different type of housing that is not otherwise available in the immediate vicinity. It's located near conveniences such as major roads, recreation areas, commercial centers, and schools. And it would correct the zoning for the existing duplex lot. And I talked to JC Transit about this last point, that the sidewalk on Southwest could serve as a new school bus stop because that sidewalk would be in public right-of-way, so they could move that school bus stop where the children are standing on the side of the road down to that sidewalk behind the taper lane. And then you have all of your regular options as your decision. And there is the big zoning map. And I can answer any questions, and we have
Questions
other
for
staff
staff?
too.
Ms. Rogers, do we know the character of the buffer between the development and the adjacent properties?
Type 1 buffer, and I can go back to the plan and we can look at how that looks. there, oh, I might have not kept the notes. Sometimes when I try to format it to put on the slide, I can't keep all the notes because it gets really, it's a type 1 buffer. So it's 15 feet. And over here, there would be a fence and a buffer between.
Are all the buffers vegetation and fence, or just vegetation?
So the type 1 buffer is either 15 feet of vegetation or a fence and 10 feet of vegetation. And he's showing 15 feet for these, and it looks like the 10 foot here for this one with the fence and vegetation.
Clarify for me again, the existing duplex that's in the upper right-hand corner of that diagram, I thought they were currently unoccupied because they are not available for use at this point? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
so I'm not, I can't speak exactly to what happened to it, but it's been vacant for a long time, and and I think Mr. Beckner could probably talk about the state of the building, and not to put him on the spot, but our CBO can speak
hold
to
for
the
that.
state of the not allowed to build on it right now
Okay.
because it's out of regs.
Jeff, could you please come forward, please, Mr. Cannon? And could you please give us a quick rundown on why that property is not occupiable at this point in time?
Good evening, Commission. Yes, sir. We were called out to that property about reestablishing power to one side of that duplex. It used to be, we have it down as a residential home, but at some point it was separated. Well, for quite a while, that one side was unoccupied. When we went to do an inspection for the electrical to turn the power back on to that residence, we witnessed a lot of damage to that property and wouldn't allow the power to be back on. But with it already having one side occupied, we couldn't issue them permits because of their zoning to repair that other side. Because it had been off for so long, it had lost its grandfather clause.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions for staff? I'll open the floor to the commission to ask questions of staff.
Yes, regarding traffic, Anthony, just curious if we, have we considered, have we looked at speed bumps throughout the traffic calming throughout the, in this community? I know we've put them in certain neighborhoods throughout the city.
Could you please identify yourself at the podium?
Lawrence Perry, I'm with the Public Works Engineering Division. There is some speed humps along College Heights. But I don't believe that Southwest has requested any speed humps along there, but, so there are some existing on College Heights as you go round from Southwest out towards Seminole Drive.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Is that on the development side of Southwest, or is that on the other side of Southwest? The speed bumps?
So the speed humps, if you go this way along College Heights? Sure. Thank you. They're back in here, this area, I believe.
So they're across Southwest.
Yeah, and then you got Southwest coming down here, and he's right here. On College Heights is where the speed humps pass narrow lane. I think there's one here and one here.
But it's packed.
Here's Southwest, and as you go up to ETSU.
But this turn here is pretty tight. This line of sight here is pretty garbage right here. But that's all right.
All right, any other questions for Public Works?
All right, thanks.
It just will increase the traffic through that.
Commissioner Whitfield, I see you. I
Looking
think
for
you
Ms.
can-
Rogers. She's still, oh, there, right.
I didn't go far.
Hey, can you just show me, so the closest, looks like the closest duplexes or multifamily are gonna be where?
So I actually didn't do a lot by lot,
Okay.
but there's multifamily in this,
Off Seminole?
yeah, and, yeah, I probably should have done lot by lot.
And then immediately south there, below the
word collector right there.
Yeah,
Narrow-
there's
off
some
of Narrow Lane as well.
interspersed.
There's a few units, I think, right off of Narrow Lane there too.
Yeah, there's some interspersed, like duplexes and things like that, like around, but the biggest concentration is here and this little bitty thing over here.
And can you go back to the
And
other
right here.
map, Ms. Rogers, that showed the zoning?
I'm sorry, show what?
The zoning map?
The big one?
Yes,
Or the
please.
zoomed out one? Right there.
There we go. Okay, thank you.
Additional questions for staff? Okay, I'm going to open the floor for public comment. If you're here to speak to the question, please raise your hand. You're welcome to speak a second time if you also spoke at public comment, but you'll be given 3 minutes. I'll let you all speak, so don't worry about who goes first. Nobody's going to be left off. If you'll come to the podium and speak your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes again, please. We've got the worst clock in the world, by the way.
I just wanted to speak real quick about, again, the photographs
Sir,
here, I think are.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Can I get your name and address,
Sorry,
please?
yes, I
Sorry.
forgot. Kenny Suit, 1514 Ashwood Drive.
Thank you.
I just wanted to speak again to I feel that these photographs are a little bit deceptive because they've been taken at an angle that obscures the actual houses that are on the site and the houses that are across the street from the site. And I think it gives a false impression that this is just a big wide open space, and it's not. There are houses all around, and as you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, three houses or 3 buildings on the site itself. Also, it doesn't really, when you're going through this and you're looking at some of these here. I wish I had a pointer, but the star is obscuring the buildings that are on the site and leaving that wide open space to the lower right of the star. That's actually a hill. It's part of the front lawn of that building. So, and if you notice that those the areas of trees to the south and southwest of the star, there are houses throughout those areas. There are houses to the east side of Southwest Avenue. There are houses to the north of the star on Narrow Lane and on College Heights. I don't think that these photographs really give you a good impression of how many single family individual homes there are around this proposed development site. And it also doesn't give you a good impression of how tiny Narrow Lane really is. It really is called Narrow Lane for a reason. It's tiny. College Heights at this point, north of the star, is also very small, windy, dangerous. And at the place where the entrance to the townhomes is proposed, which is where Galen Drive intersects with Southwest, that is also a part of Southwest with curves and it's just a dangerous area. There are wrecks that we have there on one particular property that happen about every year or two because students will come flying down Southwest Avenue intoxicated, and they'll run off the road there. This isn't a safe place for this kind of development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms., please come forward.
Dale Moore on College Heights.
You
Dale
may
Moore.
pull it down to you. Pull it down to you.
Pardon? Oh. Dale Moore, 1407 College Heights Road. I would just like to ask you all, before you make a decision on the rezoning, to please come and look at the road. Look at the actual land and imagine what he wants to propose on Southwest and on Narrow Lane. Being on College Heights, we were able to put the speed humps down. We wanted speed bumps. but they gave us the humps because the fire engines come all the time from the firehouse that's on Cherokee down College Heights to the apartment complex that is below, at the bottom of College Heights Road, and then on to Seminole, which is Seminole Ridge, which is another student housing which causes a lot of problems for the fire department and the neighbors. So I just would like to request for you all just to come and physically look at the land before you make the decision, because it's a major decision, and it's going to be, if it is passed, it's going to be a major hazard, not only to the neighbors, but to anybody who travels on the road coming from Cherokee through the college down to the west side of town. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Please come forward.
Kristen Lazarova, 1601 Galen Drive. The first thing that I'd like to point out is I feel that the maps are, just as Mr. Suits pointed out, I feel like they're very deceptive and could even be considered a bit disingenuous of the real situation. If we were to take an image of the maps or a map of the area surrounding the Gump addition and we were to zoom out, we would find something very similar. We would see lots of different types of developments. That does not indicate the reality of the Gump addition. There's a lot that goes on around it. Within the Gump addition, things look very different, just like they do on this particular property in this area. Yes, we have State of Franklin. Yes, there is ETSU, but that is not the part of the area that we're talking about. We're talking about a unique part of the area that is very, very important to employees at ETSU, specifically important to other people who work in the area, who enjoy living in that area and do not want to be directly next to or have their property values impacted by or their daily lives impacted by having multi-residential housing that is zoned in this way, or a property that is zoned in this way. It's something that does not promote balance. Our area right through there has a lot of housing that is dedicated to students. This is a unique part of the community that is located near ETSU, where people who work there can enjoy their lives with their family. They can be safe. They don't have to be directly in the midst of potential criminal activity like we see happening on Seminole Drive, which I think is commonly known at certain units that are there. And we don't want that. We want to maintain the integrity of the neighborhood. There's a tremendous value that exists there. So I think I would definitely agree. I think that I would implore you to take a look at the neighborhood, to look at the land that is there, to see what we as neighbors value in that area. It is important for there to be a variety of housing, yes, but I think the same could be argued for us. For anyone who would say that that is the argument for it, we would argue that if we put more multi-residential, we are further infringing on the potential, we're infringing upon an imbalance that already does exist in that area. You'd be taking the last part of the area that people who work at the university or at nearby places enjoy and call their home. And then the other thing that I would like to point out as well is that I really don't feel that speed bumps could address the safety issue. I think it is much broader than an issue connected to speed bumps. There are windy roads, there's narrowness of roads, and I don't see how the city could adequately address this without providing unequal benefit to one individual that they would never provide to a general, they would never provide to any other individual under any circumstance. So to provide things like infrastructure for someone who wants to build on this property would be an unequal benefit. And I would implore you to seriously consider your vote and vote against this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please come forward, sir.
Did you pick that up?
Could you give us your name and address, please, sir?
Fred Lance, 1512 Ashwood Drive, here in Johnson City. This development will not lead to more affordable housing. When we had the neighbor meeting with the developer, he emphasized that what he was going to do is build upscale housing. Now, the city's own definition of affordable housing, I think, means for low and moderate income people. How do you reconcile that with upscale housing? You don't. So the affordability issue doesn't apply. The convenience issue sure doesn't apply, because this is one of the most inconvenient sites you could hope for if you want to put a housing development in there. This is sort of like spot zoning. I guess maybe it is, because you're taking a piece of property that's zoned R2 and R3 and turning it into R4. You might say, well, that's not that big a difference. Well, if that's the case, why not just take all the R2 and R3s in Johnson City and make them all R4s, and we could stay home in our tiny apartments and not have to fret over rezoning? There is a big difference, and the big difference is density, and the big difference is the benefit to the developer. He can make more money, more units, more. The problem is, when he does that, it's less and less for the people who live around there. We are the ones who will suffer from depreciation of property values. We're the ones who will suffer from loss of peace of mind. And the traffic situation, it will be horrible. It already is horrible. Southwest Avenue, if you want to put speed humps on there, you'll have to come out sometime and watch, because they'll probably be doing motorcycle jumps off of them. It is terrible, and the solution is there's a small strip of sidewalk he's going to put there. I call it the sidewalk to nowhere. And then he's going to put a small turn lane there to get in after. This is where Southwest Avenue, after going through Kerr, starts down a hill. What you really need probably to put there is one of these runaway truck exits like they have over in Unicoi County coming off the mountain. It is a dangerous place, and this will make it more dangerous. You can infer that, and you can take it to the bank, I guess, because that's what's going to happen. The benefit to the developer, it'll be there. The detriment to the homeowners and property owners, it'll be there too. What about the public benefit? Again, the affordability, well, that's not really an issue if he stays true to his word and builds upscale housing. And the other factors really don't really depend on rezoning. He's already got R3. He can build townhouses. He can build duplexes. He just can't build a whole darn bunch of them and scuff them and stack them and pack them in an area that basically is not going to be conducive to people living there in a safe environment. And, oh, I'm sorry. Sounds like at home when my microwave goes off, so I guess I'll go get something to eat. Thank you.
Sir, thank you very much.
I'd like to clarify on the speed humps, Lawrence Perry, Engineering Division.
please.
On the speed humps, you're only allowed to do that on local roads, and that's what College Heights is. It's a local road. You could probably potentially put something on narrow lane, but it's such a short run. But on Southwest, that's a collector road, so it wouldn't be eligible for speed humps.
While you're here, could you give us a quick review of the standards that the streets are built to in terms specifically narrow lane? How wide is it? What is it considered a city street? What are the basic dimensions?
The widths do vary. They've existed like that since they've been annexed, I think, since the 80s. And as of right now, there's no plans to improve it based on the zoning that's there now or the zoning that it's going to.
Thank you.
All right.
Please come forward.
My name's Hallie McKee. I'm at 1515 Ashwood Drive. I want to stand first to show the variety of people that this is impacting. I live with my family when I am not at school. But that being said, I go to University of Tennessee in Knoxville. I'm a senior there. And I'd like to speak on the fact that lots of places that are originally starting as multi-residential homes for adults, upscale, are very quickly becoming student housing. This is something that we're seeing in Knoxville. Students are looking to pay $13, $14, $15, all the way up to like $2,300 per bedroom in apartments. So even if these are made to be these upscale multi-residential homes that the developer is proposing, it will only be a matter of time before the tables might turn and students might live there. So I think that's something that you all should consider, as concerns have been brought as if these do become places that students are living. Student housing is dangerous. I've lived there for a while. Lots of crime, lots of underage drinking, and with so many family housing around, I don't think it's a great idea to approve this decision.
Thank you.
I'm Laura Tugman. I live at 1713 Southwest Avenue. And I agree with everything that's been said, and especially some of the photographs and things that you've been shown. They don't truly represent what it looks like there. The pictures, the photographs make it look bigger than it is. It's not as large as it looks like. And then that map makes it look like things are very close together, and they're not. My biggest concern, I have several concerns, especially what everyone said, but my biggest concern is I live at the bottom of Southwest Avenue toward the gas station near Cherokee Road. We already have a serious runoff water problem. My driveway has washed out, even the concrete, the pavement has washed out before, because one thing that's not showing here is that this construction will be at the top of the hill. Everything on Southwest Avenue at the top there runs all the way down through my property, through the next property, and it floods very frequently. My backyard floods, the next door neighbor, all that water collects on the other side of his house, between his house and the gas station, and it floods even with a little bit of rain. We have standing water. With this construction at the top of the hill, I really worry about what type of water, there's not going to be grass there to help absorb things. It really worries me about what type of water runoff we're going to experience and what that's going to do to my property that's right on the road. The other thing I would say is, there is not a real shoulder on those roads. There's nowhere to walk. You're right on the road. And there is students who come down to the bus stop. They have to walk in the road, and I see them walking on the road all the time. There are young children in our neighborhood. They live right beside me. I'm worried about the traffic as well, and the impact of having the more cars, faster traffic, and just all of the things that will impact the quietness of our neighborhood. It's safe. The kids can play outside, and no one worries about what's going on there. I just really worry about, the impact and the negative impact of this on the character of our neighborhood. It's very quiet, it's peaceful, and we just don't want it to change. But I really am worried about the runoff water and the damage to my property and the property next to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come forward, please.
My name is Sandra Clowers. I live at 1603 Southwest Avenue. I'm like her. I have a lot of water that collects in my backyard. It has ruined my driveway. It has went over into my neighbor's yard as well. It gets closer and closer to my basement. And we have I had an excavator come out a couple of weeks ago. I thought it was my issue. And he said, no, it is the runoff from the road because the road is slanted. So my question is, what will be done about water goes downhill? So I am concerned about my house as well as others that live down below me. And I'd like for you to take that into consideration of what will be done to these houses for the extra water runoff.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
My name is Libby Simpson-Sturtevant. I live at the intersect at 1601 Galen Drive and Southwest. That is the proposed intersection of this build. Those are double-blind curves that do not show. You come up the hill, you hit an apex, and when you're going down the hill, people almost never make a left-hand turn between Galen and Southwest because you cannot see right and you cannot see left. I can't plant any barrier vegetation because it deals with the line of sight. I can't even bump it back because the curve of the road is so great. okay? And when you come out from College Heights onto Southwest, I was standing at the top of the hill talking to a neighbor yesterday when I saw a car this close, maybe an inch or two, with almost got hit. And that happens many, many times a day because the curve goes the opposite way and is blind on the other side. And that really needs to be addressed. There is no storm drains down Galen Drive. There are no storm ditches down Southwest. All the water comes off of that hill, even though you have a a retention pond there, it will not contain it. It floods right behind the suets. It comes down in a valley. It will not. It floods their road. The lady that just spoke, it floods all the way down Galen. I have several people that I spoke with yesterday on Galen Drive. The water runs into their garages, into their houses, and some into their basements. The only place for storm water or any water to go is all the way down from Southwest, down Galen, down Southwest, onto Cherokee, and there's still not adequate drainage down there. And these people's houses, I mean, they don't even dry up after a month or so. Cattails grow in their backyards. They can't even mow because of the standing water. This water cannot be contained off of this hillside. It's broad. It's very broad. And the road and the pedestrian traffic, we all tell students, walk in our yards. We know the liability of someone suing if they trip over water mains and stuff, but we tell the students all the time, walk in our yards, because there's no shoulder. The yellow line sits on the road and the grass. And so they really have to watch. They don't walk across the road, they have to run, they have to sprint to get from one side of Southwest onto College Heights. I have to stop frequently on College Heights because people drive in the middle of a road. I've actually pulled off of College Heights onto this proposed build site to get out of the way of other trucks and delivery trucks and stuff. It's so narrow. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Please come forward.
It's painful.
My name is Steve McKee. I live at 1515 Ashwood Drive. Thank you to the commission for the opportunity to speak, and thank you to all the neighbors who have provided good testimony as to why we believe this rezoning to R4 is a bad idea. My concerns are echoing a lot of the same: crime in the area, impacting our property values, safety. What the traffic studies did not take into account is the amount of pedestrians, the amount of bikers, the amount of runners. They go up and down Southwest. They go up and down College Heights. I see them all the time. Sometimes it's early morning if they're trying to get to campus early. They are running down and they're doing what they're supposed to do, running against traffic, but it's a dangerous area. I worry about everyone's children, my own kids as well, in this neighborhood, walking here and there. It's definitely a concern. The water runoff, the water right now comes down from that hill behind the suits lot and comes down and crosses when it rains really hard. It runs over the road on Ashwood and then goes down onto Marywood, which I don't believe we've heard from anybody that's downstream of me, but I'm kind of in the middle. So the water's a concern, and like I say, I'm a Navy veteran. I retired from the Navy 5 years ago off the East Coast. Moved up here for a job. My family at the time was still living in Georgia while my daughter, who spoke earlier, finished high school. So that was 2021 when it was time for her to finish high school and time to move the family up. And you guys all know what the real estate market was doing in 2021. I sunk everything I had to buy the only house that I could find on the market that was affordable. So to see my property values potentially negatively impacted, well, that's going to leave a mark. So I appreciate your consideration and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, sir, for coming. Who else? Please come forward.
Jerry Kunish, 1214 College Heights.
I appreciate what you did on the Glaze farm as far as being R2, and you're worried about having a walking path and whatever. So that's a new development. So they get nice amenities. We're R2 and have been for 40, 50, 60 years, and we get punished. We don't have walking track. We don't have any of those amenities, and we're not going to get them, especially if this thing goes through. So I really don't understand why residents that have been there longstanding and have poured their life into it are punished because of a developer. Now then, in addition about this property, I've been intimately involved with this family for over 20 years. It was a city employee who used that house wrongly as a duplex. He was an older gentleman, yes, I know, but it was Mr. Cross, who worked for the city for years. So he used it inappropriately. But I have worked on all those properties because I live right across the street and have been intimately involved with the family. The owner of the house came over to my house last night. She has been out of town for the last 2 weeks, so she came over and spent an hour and a half with me. Yes, she's disappointed in the way it is going. It's a tragic situation that developed on that property for the last 10 years. I've seen it. I've been intimately involved with each and every situation. The parents died, the husband got abused in alcohol and then turned into Alzheimer's, and it has ended in institution. So the poor lady is trying to survive with some money. So yes, I understand Mr. Beckner coming along. It's a great opportunity for him. He can gobble up that land and do what he wants to at a cheap price he got it for. So again, it probably all started years ago with this family not using the property properly, but then now we're all going to be punished for their lack of taking care of the property. But like I said, I have worked on it for years, and so again, I just don't want to be punished for all the things that an R2 family has.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak to the question? Please come forward. I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
I'm Dylan Yalowitz. I live at 1405 College Heights Road. I just wanted to, kind of point out something that the rest of my neighbors have as well. The traffic flow in this area is just not suitable for this type of development. I don't think that something that maybe was not mentioned is that there's a really big hillside at the corner of College Heights and Southwest that makes up the corner lot where the yellow house is, and you have to scoot very far into the road to be able to see around it. There's blind turns, all up and down College Heights and Southwest, and I just don't think that it's a suitable place, to be putting something like this development and have it still be safe. I see people fly through there every morning when I have to go through there to to go to work. Kids out there for school and everything. There's a lot going on in that area that I don't think the safety, of that is being taken into consideration. So I just recommend that it not be done, and I hope that y'all can take, my neighbors' comments and everything, and really rethink the rezoning.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You can come back up.
Natalia Sud, 1514 Ashwood Drive. I would like to also say that there are actually people in our neighborhood who has been watching that property for a while, and they would be very happy to buy it, but it never came up on market. So we never had a chance to actually decide what we as a neighborhood would like to see there on that property being developed. And obviously we would have liked much more, a couple families, 3, 4 at the most. And but we never got a chance to actually propose our options. So
Thank you.
I want you to know that. Thank you.
They'll come. Sir, did you, someone on the front row?
Yes, I'm Phil Musich. I live at 1201 College Heights Drive, not Road, but I worked for ETSU for 36 years. And I used to walk to ETSU, and I would walk through the forest, the ETSU forest there by the water tower, because it was not safe to walk on Southwest or on College Heights Road because of the traffic. And now the forest has gotten so many trees that are hanging and threatening to come down, that's no longer safe. And the walking traffic, I've noticed, has gotten much, I would say, worse in the sense that there's so many more people walking and riding bikes and running that it's not safe to drive or to walk or run on these roads. It is a situation which is already terrible, and this development, the construction will make it much worse, and then the increased traffic from all these new residents will make it much, much worse. And, you know, as many people have said, pay attention to the people that have lived here for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, rather than the developers. There's a whole lot the city could do to solve our problems, irrespective of any new developments coming in, and you're not doing it.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Colin Brooks, 1097 College Heights Drive. I hope the turnout from the community has showed you guys how we do not like this development. I live, my biggest concern with this development is the traffic. Southwest Avenue is already a very dangerous street, very curvy. You know, sometimes people really enjoy going fast and taking those curves pretty fast. I have 4 daughters at home, and we often walk down to ETSU, and we can't walk down Southwest Avenue. So we'll walk through College Heights Road, and even that road is very tight. Narrow lane is aptly named. So I just hope that you guys would consider what these residents are saying. I understand the need for housing in our community, but this isn't the right place for it. And I appreciate what you guys do. I know you have tough decisions. I know staff has tough decisions. But I hope you see this turnout and decide against this development. I hate it for the developer, but it's not a good place for something like this. We need affordable housing. It doesn't sound like that'll be affordable housing, but if you guys would just, and I do, like these residents have said, implore you to come out and look at that, because I live on College Heights Drive. That's where the bus stop is, and this fine gentleman in the back is always there every morning to help the students to make sure that, you know, they're safe. But every day when I drive out on College Heights Drive, you know, I have to look around the corner and make sure that I can even go left or right. And oftentimes my daughter has to say, hey, you're clear this way, hey, you're clear that way, and I just have to gun it because it's just the line of sight is very bad from College Heights Drive onto Southwest Avenue. And if you look at College Heights Road from Southwest Avenue, currently as constructed, 2 cars could not fit up that road at the same time. So I would implore you guys to come out and take a look if you haven't. But thank you for your time and your work. We really appreciate it. But thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Please come forward. So, ma'am.
My name is Effie Giles. 23 years ago, when my husband and I came back from work overseas.
Can you give us your address, please, ma'am?
1510 Ashwood Drive.
Thank you.
And we purchased the property there, and it's a beautiful, quiet place. 13 years ago, my husband died, but I felt perfectly safe living there in this area where they really tell us what a neighborhood means. I can sit out on a little bench in my backyard, and I envisioned that someday that property over there might be developed. There could be 5 or 6 family homes over there. But now if I look from my little bench, I would see 16 townhouses. And my property is right up against this property. When it rains, sometimes the water gets so deep it comes all the way up to Ashwood Drive, where I have a huge farm pond. And I'm no engineer, but I know water runs downhill. And I just don't like to think about what would happen. And I really care about people having a place to live. It really matters to me. And I want to thank you all for the difficult job that you have. While you are thinking about the future and planning for all that is to come in the future, that you also remember the human factor of those of us who live there now, and especially, I mean, I might not be living too much longer after all, but I have neighbors who have invested to retire there. And I hope that there will be other people moving into this beautiful place, 1510 Ashwood Drive, long after I'm gone, and to be able to experience what I have. Thank you for considering that.
Thank you, Ms. Giles, very much. Anyone else to speak? Please come forward.
Potentially want to go last if I could. My name is Randy Beckner. I live at 1002 Katie's Way in Johnson City. I'm a principal at Mattern and Craig, a local civil and surveying firm. I'm a partner in R&R Enterprises, the developer. And I'm apparently the most popular new landowner on College Heights and Southwest Avenue. So owner, developer, and engineer all in the project. If I could, I'd like to kind of break this into two separate issues, because it really is. 1301 College Heights. It's not been presented exactly as it is. I bought it as a duplex. It's cut up as a duplex. It had 2 meters, two electrical services. Of course, one of the meters was out. It has 2 water services. It served as a duplex for years, and I think some of the locals that know the history of it have already hit on it. But it was a duplex. Then the owners of the overall property that owns 1305 as well, his parents got elderly. They moved into the duplex, and I guess that for their safety, they eliminated the second half of the duplex. And so they lived in the whole thing. It's not a bad house. It's in structurally good condition. The roof was leaking is the reason the electrical would not pass the last inspection. Just this week had a new flat roof put on the portion that was leaking, so it's all brand new. Should be getting my electrical inspection hopefully tomorrow, so we can get the second power turned back on. So that one, all I'm trying to do is get it zoned from R2 to R3 so that the existing building conforms with the zoning. 1305 College Heights, its address is 1305 College Heights. The bulk of the property does face on Southwest Avenue. It's currently zoned R3. It's about 3.2 acres. As it's zoned now, I could put I think it's 22 units on there. It is a financial thing. When I first started looking at it, I looked at, how much density could I get to get the financials where they are. I'm down to 25 units now anyway, so I mean, we're talking 3 units if the zoning goes through. I know a lot of the issues are dealing with existing conditions, traffic, drainage. I will say as development occurs, you do now have development standards in place that could actually, the development could actually help to improve some of those things. I know someone mentioned the turn lane, that's a requirement of the regulations. Stormwater management will be provided to ensure that stormwater at least doesn't get worse. In a lot of cases, it can improve the conditions. So, have any
Thank you very
questions for
much.
me?
Any questions for the developer?
Yeah, but briefly, can you talk a little bit to these are going to be condominium, these units for
Yeah,
sale?
Townhome style condominiums.
Okay.
The duplexes I'm definitely gonna sell. The townhomes, the multi-unit townhomes. I'm gonna have a homeowners association set up to where I could sell them. I'm not, that'll be just, again, a financial thing. I'm not definite on selling or keeping.
Can you give us a quick breakdown of the suite mix? I mean, number of 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms?
They're all gonna be 2-bedroom, two masters.
Okay. And what are you anticipating for sales price and rental rates?
Sale price probably on the order of 300, 280 to 300. Rental, I just have to see how much money I have in them, see what rentals worked out.
Okay.
But, you know, that's part of the density thing. The more density that I can distribute the cost of the sidewalks and the stormwater management over, obviously brings the cost per unit down and therefore brings the rent down. So,
Can you speak to the character of the stormwater management? I mean, what are you doing to?
we'll be required to do stormwater management as far as quantity, detain any increased runoff, as well as quality. We'll have to have quality measures that reduces the sediment that we get in the water and that kind of stuff. It's all part of your regulations.
Sir, I'll get you in just a moment. I'll not leave you out. No, you'll have to speak to us, sir.
Sir, when you talk about stormwater, who oversees that? I mean, after it starts happening, we make sure that it's taken care of.
The city oversees to ensure, the homeowners association will be responsible for maintenance, repairs, through the homeowners association. Just like any other stormwater management in the city.
Mr. Beckner, can you speak to some of the dialogue or the conversations you've had with the community regarding this development?
Mostly just Friday, and it was pretty much rehashing the same thing tonight that we talked about Friday. And if it's okay with you, I'm more than happy to answer any
No, I'm
questions.
sorry, I'd rather not do that, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
If we can reserve the right to call you back, you are welcome to take a seat.
Okay, thank you.
Lawrence, I'd like to ask you to come up, if you would please, and talk about the issue of rainwater runoff in the community and also line of sight issues at some of the traffic areas that have been called out. Can you speak to any of those at all?
Yeah, as far as site distance goes, we look at the AASHTO site distance, and we're going to try to make sure that they pick the best location, and I believe that's what they've done. And they would try to meet the AASHTO site distance for that. I believe it. You guys do meet that, so it's for a low speed limit, so it's not something that's high.
What is the speed limit on Southwest, please?
I think it's 25. No, it's not 45. I'd say it's probably 25, 30.
Not 45.
Probably everybody drives 45.
It should be 30, but they go 65.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I understand that people speed a lot, but I was asking for the speed limit.
Yeah.
So it may be an enforcement question.
It's a 30. And then as far as the stormwater goes, throughout the community, the development community has to meet the 2 through the 100, and you're looking at the existing, how the water runs off from the existing land and what it's going to be at the proposed, and the proposed needs to be less than or equal to what it was at the existing, the 2-year storm, the 10-year storm, the 25-year storm, and the 100-year storm. And if you're grading more than an acre, you got to get a TDEC permit to be able to make sure that you're keeping your soil on the site during the construction phase. And if you're grading more than an acre, you're going to do water quality, where you're cleaning up the water to make sure that you're cleaning up 80% of the TSS. That's the grit that's going into the creek. And you're also looking at the channel protection. So you're looking at the 1-year storm to make sure that the water's at least detained for 24 hours before it leaves the site. So that's things that we put upon everybody in the city, and that's
All right.
our regulations. It's been that way for a while.
Before I release Lawrence from the podium, anybody have another question?
So at the end of the day, Lawrence, is the storm water that leaves the property going to be less or more, or the same?
It should be less than or equal to what it exists there now. The home providing some kind of impervious area Randy's development will increase the impervious area, but he'll put it in a detention pond, and it'll be slowly released so that it's equal to what it was with whatever development's there now. And I will say on any of the roads, when we do repaving, we look at if we've got enough right-of-way to add additional asphalt if we can. So that's something that could be coming in the future. So this one lets you know that.
Is parking along some of those streets allowed on the street?
I would say not, probably, based
So
on.
I was up there this weekend, and there was a lot of street parking.
Right, right. If we've got requests, we could put signage out there for no parking, but I don't know if we've got.
And that could then be enforced.
Yes, yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Lawrence. All right, anyone, sir, please feel free to come up and identify yourself and ask your question.
All right, Bob Fuller, 707 Douglas. And I just had a question, I guess it's either for the planning department or else for the builder. What is the difference in the total number of units based on zoning change going through or not?
Thank you very much. I'll have Amber, would you come forward, please? I think we've got a question of, given the existing zoning will allow the development of so many units, and under the change zoning, that will allow a different, additional number of units.
So on the 3.19 acre site at 1305, if you multiply that by 7, he can have up to 22 units on that piece of property by right. The rezoning is really more in effect to, oh, my keyboard's not connected. That's weird. Oh, there it goes, okay. The request is really more to allow sort of this clustered development on the collector road rather than overall number of units. Because the site, we have another slide too. Sorry. So his project would involve a future subdivision that would subdivide out these areas. And so you can have duplexes and multifamily and these sorts of structures in the R3 district, but because he wanted to sort of make a cluster down here, he's requesting the rezoning. And he also has the option of adjusting this property line, this proposed future property line, to increase this area by 0.15 acre, I think, and then he would have the R3 sizing for this density that he's asking for over here. But that, it's up to him if he wants to amend how his request is, but he could have 22 total units on the 3.19 acre site. And he's proposing 16 plus 6 plus 2, so 24.
So he could have 22 at present.
At the current
with
district.
an adjustment to the
On
property line.
On the whole 3.19 acre site, he could have 22. I'm sorry, we're talking about 3 different possibilities. So if he were to redevelop the entire 3.19 acre site, if you multiply 3.19 times 7, which is how many units you can have per acre, that's 22 units for that whole site under the current zoning. If he wanted to leave that duplex area as R3 as it's currently zoned, he could just move that lot line so that that total area is 0.86 acres instead of 0.71 acre. And that would be allowed under the current district as well. So there's a number of other things that he could opt to do, but this is his proposal.
So he has a significant development opportunity by right as it's currently zoned.
He does.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me, sir.
Ms. Rogers, just to clarify.
Yes.
So currently, he's R3, and he could have up to 4 units in the duplex area and 11 units in the proposed townhome,
Based on the proposed lot lines, yes.
without changing those. So if.
Yes.
if-
With the proposed, as the lot lines are proposed, that is what those lots that's what those areas would allow.
So if this is not rezoned today, he could still put in 11 townhomes and 4 duplexes.
He could put in up to 22 units on the entire site.
Thank you.
Sir, do you have a comment? Please come to the podium if you do.
It's Kenny Suit, 1514 Ashwood. But what this is leaving out is that acre that's in between these two subdivided lots. And we never actually heard from Ms. Amber how many total number of units we would have under the proposed R4 upzoning if you're taking the entire lot as a 3-point-something acre lot. My understanding is that would be up to 40-something units for the entire acreage. But right here, all we're looking at is just below the proposed townhome area could have up to 22 units under R4, and then the proposed duplex area could have 9 units under R4, but then there's an acre in between them currently occupied by the house, but there's no guarantee that that house won't be torn down and then more units added to that. So I guess I would just like Ms. Amber to tell us, if you're taking the entire 3-point-something acre lot, how many total units would be permitted under an R4 upzoning? That's just what I would like to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak to the question? All right, before I close public comment, I want to make reference to Ms. Lawrence that we have a collection of correspondence that will go in the record. These are from some people that perhaps were here and people that were not here, but that will go into the record, and I can assure you we have all read these. Ms. Moore? To the record? To the paperwork, you may if you want to bring it to me. Thank you, JT.
I think the lady back there has some.
Ma'am, did you have something you wanted to put into the record? Please come forward. If you'll please make your comment brief.
Yes, Kristen Lazarova, 1601 Galen Drive. I'm just waiting for the answer to the question. How many properties or how many units are permissible under R4, given the acreage? That was his question. I didn't hear it, her response. What is the response?
Welcome to sit, take a seat, please. Thank you. Amber, can you come forward and address that question?
So this proposed concept plan, if it were approved and the rezoning were, the ordinance for the rezone were adopted, the concept plan would be the control of how many units could be located there. It's a binding concept plan. Any changes that would be requested to be made to what the number of units that are out there, it would have to go through a concept plan amendment, which is a public process where we notify the neighbors, just as we did with this request. We post signs on the property. They come to Planning Commission for a public hearing and to the City Commission for a public hearing. So the concept plan is binding, and it talks about it in Article 14 of our zoning code, the process for amending the concept plan.
But I don't think that's what the gentleman is asking. If the developer just went in there and leveled everything, the existing house, and I think there's actually 2 houses on the property, and he got rezoned, how many total units could he put on that property?
He can put the numbers shown on his concept plan and no more.
No, ignore the concept plan. He may decide later on to come back with a revised concept plan.
He could.
But let's assume that he could.
Then we would multiply the 3.19 times the 14, and that would be, but he would have to go through this process.
Well, I understand that, but that's not the gentleman's question, so.
So it's
just
3.19 times 14.
So what is that?
44.
44 units.
So it basically doubles what could be put on the property today.
It does.
Yeah, okay.
But the concept plan controls the exact layout of the development.
I hope everybody understands that, but
Okay.
somebody else could buy the property and then put 44 units on it.
But the concept plan follows the sale, is that correct?
The concept plan follows the land, so anybody that comes in with a building permit, if it's not to what is shown here, they would have to go through the process of amending the concept plan.
Fair enough. And then it would be up to this body to decide whether we allow 44 units on it.
Yep, your commission and the city commission.
It would in essence be it's the same rezoning, similar to this rezoning process. As you said, there's a public hearing after a neighborhood meeting, which would then require approval of the planning commission for recommendation to the city commission to approve, and then subsequent approval by the city commission. So it is in effect the concept plan is in effect a limiting entitlement.
It is.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, is anyone else here to speak in favor or against the question? Have I missed anyone? Okay, I think I don't see any more hands going up, so I'm going to close public comment. And I want to thank and tell everyone I appreciate how clear and how professional you've all acted. You've acted very kind, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you. And you did acknowledge that we do this, and it's not easy. We're all volunteers. We're doing the best we can, so I just wanted to throw that in defense of my commission. No, please, no. Commissioners, any other discussion amongst us?
I have concerns about the traffic.
Speak into the microphone, please.
I have concerns about the traffic.
Can you talk a little more clearly about that? Volume,
Well,
hazards?
when I hear them saying that there's dead spots on both sides of the curb and the issues they have right now with getting in and out of the development, it causes me concern.
Okay.
I mean, you're only going to increase the traffic.
Mr. Chair, are you available for a motion?
Yes, I can entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to deny this on the basis that I have an old German word I use a lot. It's called Schlimmbesserung. It's an improvement you make that makes a situation worse. I think this is what the case is here. This is a single-family subdivision, and we're forcing a multifamily neighborhood. I just don't think it's appropriate, so I want to deny this, is my motion.
Okay, I have a motion to deny.
Second.
Okay, we have a second.
We have a second. Go ahead.
Just some dialogue. So, Uwe, or Chairman Ruth, I'm familiar with that argument. I guess my question is, even if we don't change the zoning, you could still change a single-family subdivision and make it a multifamily.
You can go with the existing zoning, but I don't see it getting any better if you increase it to an R4. R4 is a multifamily type zone. R2 was established, R3 was established to minimize the amount of development in a single-family neighborhood, which I think this is. And to force multifamily into it is inappropriate.
Ms. Rogers, could you pull up the zoning map for us, please, one more time? And I think, I'm just trying to kind of simplify what we're all going
Sure.
through in our mind right now
Yeah.
is, I appreciate that, but there's also R4 not far away. It's existing R4. So even if we don't, even if it is approved, even if it is not approved, it can still become multifamily tomorrow without any recommendation or approval from our board whatsoever, or going before city council.
To maybe just build on that discussion, Ben, my understanding is exactly the same. I think we've heard clearly that they're under current entitlement, Mr. Beckner can build 22 units with a couple of shifts in the property line. It's still going to be, so there is going to be a development on this piece of property. It is going to be substantively similar to this. The difference in that case is 3 lots pending, any future revisions that again are processed through another neighborhood meeting, public hearing with the planning commission, and then approval by the commission staff. But to Rowena's comment, I think we've all heard that, that there are concerns with traffic and some infrastructure in this neighborhood, and I think that's something certainly we as commissioners, we as commissioners take on board, and be interested in seeing what can be done in the neighborhood regarding that. But back to the zoning, back to the matter of the zoning, I really don't think that the incremental, an additional 3 units is not going to make a difference to the traffic. It's not going to make a difference to water or sewer. It's not going to make a difference to schools. So, I mean, for that reason, I would be supportive of the rezone.
If anything, it seems like having a rezoning would at least put a binding concept plan in place.
It would put a binding concept, but
right
it
now,
also.
there's nothing. He can do whatever he wants. He
Correct.
doesn't need our approval or city council's
Correct.
approval. But
Correct.
if we grant this change of the zoning, at least there's a binding concept plan that the developer has to follow.
And he could also dump all the apartments on narrow lane too. Instead of with the rezoning like proposed, then most of this goes out onto a collector road. Because that narrow lane is tight, and there are apartments at the end of that road on the right as well. But that road is, when I was up there today driving around, and there were vehicles, all over the place there on College Heights. So the thought of not rezoning it and dumping 22 apartments onto that road is something that definitely would not be beneficial.
Further discussion about the motion? All right, we have a motion to deny the proposed rezoning. No other comments? I'm going to ask Nicole to call the roll.
Okay, just so everyone is clear, if you vote for, it's for denial. If you say against, it's against denial. Are we good? Okay. Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
No.
Commissioner Dutton?
No.
Commissioner Rhodey?
Yes.
Commissioner Whitfield?
No.
Vice Chairman Oceanbine?
No.
Chairman Dagenhart?
No.
Motion to deny has failed. So we will need a motion in the affirmative
Or
now.
further discussion.
Or further discussion.
So it seems like we're arguing against 3 extra units that would add a binding concept plan.
Yeah. It's 6
to
and
the
6.
property.
Yeah, 3 buildings at the north side, plus 3, it'd be 6 units
6
total.
units total.
Dumping out on narrow lane.
But adding a binding concept plan to the developer.
Correct.
You guys, does the commission understand it the same way?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I propose a motion for approval of the rezoning of Colonial Heights at Southwest.
Second.
I think you mean College Heights.
College Heights, sorry, Colonial.
All right, I
College
have a
Heights.
motion and a second. Any further conversation about the motion to approve the rezoning of College Heights at Southwest?
So what's the difference in this vote and the last vote?
The last vote was you were voting to deny. This is your voting to approve. So if you vote, Nicole, you may want to step in here.
Okay, if you vote for, you're voting for approval of the rezoning. If you vote against, you are voting against the rezoning.
Ms. Rogers, sorry, one more time. Could you just go to the slide that gives us
No,
our
we voted
options
against.
here, please, before Nicole starts the roll?
Yes. No
In other words,
meaning.
if you stick to your regular vote, you vote no.
I'm sorry, man, you walk so much.
There you go. I'm fine.
Appreciate it.
Are you all waiting on me?
No.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Sorry.
I thought we were waiting on Amber.
We're in discussion of the
No,
motion
she,
currently.
that's what you asked for.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's what I wanted.
Okay.
We could defer this. I don't know what that's worth.
Commissioner Whitfield, did you get your question answered?
I did, thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Any other discussion? Call the question, please call the roll.
Okay. Just to remind, this vote is in favor of the rezoning as presented. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Bailey?
No.
Commissioner Cooper?
No.
Commissioner Dutton?
Yes.
Commissioner Rhodey?
No.
Commissioner Whitfield?
No.
Vice Chairman Oshinbaum?
Yes.
Chairman Dagenhart?
Yes.
The motion to approve hasn't failed.
Has failed? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
4 were against, 3 were for.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we're here, we're still here. We're not gonna go home yet.
No, that was a motion to approve, so the rezoning has been denied. So
Okay,
it's done.
Yeah, they can bring it back.
so it's done.
Yes.
So the approval failed.
The approval has failed, so the motion
Excuse me, I
was,
apologize.
no, you're
Please-
fine, was denied,
please
so
be in
therefore
order.
the rezoning was denied.
So the zoning did not pass.
Did not pass.
So that's clarification. Thank you, Ms. Lawrence.
You're welcome.
All right. I want to thank the audience for being so kind and so patient and so orderly. I really appreciate it. I want to thank Amber Rogers for the diligent work she's put into this day and night for weeks on end. And I want to thank the rest of the city staff for their support. Okay, no other business to come before the commission. The meeting is adjourned.